What if I told you there's a tomato growing method so effective that it can triple your root system and double your harvest, but was deliberately forgotten by modern gardening? Welcome to Golden Vault Garden, where we uncover the lost techniques that transform ordinary gardeners into food-growing masters. Before we dive into this Soviet-era method that revolutionized tomato production in the harshest climates on Earth, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. This technique is so different from what you've been taught that it might completely change how you grow tomatoes forever. Today, we're revealing the Maslov method, a technique that creates tomato plants with root systems 3 times larger than conventional planting. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use it.
In the 1950s and 60s Soviet Union, growing food wasn't a hobby, it was survival. Gardeners faced brutal springs, short growing seasons, and unpredictable weather. Every plant had to justify its space. Soviet agronomist Igor Maslov made a revolutionary observation. He noticed that tomato stems have tiny root nodes along their entire length that could transform into roots if buried. Maslov asked a simple question: what if we buried the entire stem instead of just the roots? The results were extraordinary. Plants developed root systems 2 to 3 times larger than conventional tomatoes, accessed more nutrients and water, and produced dramatically higher yields, sometimes double the fruit from a single plant. Soviet agricultural bulletins documented the technique throughout the 1960s and 70s. It spread across collective farms and dacha gardens from Siberia to Ukraine. Gardeners reported tomatoes that survived weeks without watering and produced abundant harvests where modern hybrids would fail. This method was never about convenience, it was about survival and maximum productivity from minimal space. And that's exactly why modern gardening forgot it. If you're already intrigued, drop a comment saying, "I'm trying Maslov." Stick around because the exact step-by-step process is coming in just a few minutes. So if this method produced incredible results, why isn't it taught in every gardening book today? By the 1980s and 90s, Western gardening had become commercialized. Seed companies developed compact varieties for vertical planting. Garden centers sold standardized tomato cages. Extension offices promoted uniform spacing and feeding schedules. The Maslov method couldn't be standardized. It required observation, adaptation, and patience. Plants grew slowly at first and looked ugly for weeks. More importantly, plants grown this way became independent. The massive root system meant they needed less fertilizer, less frequent watering, and fewer interventions. Independence doesn't sell products. Modern tomato cultivation is built on dependency. Special fertilizers, drip irrigation systems, disease-resistant hybrids. The Soviet method eliminates most of that. A plant that can survive drought for weeks doesn't need constant inputs. So the technique was quietly removed from Western gardening advice, not because it failed, but because it didn't fit the commercial model. But climate change is rewriting the rules. Heat waves, water restrictions, unpredictable weather. These are exactly the conditions Soviet gardeners already faced. Hit that like button if you're tired of babying tomato plants that die at the first sign of stress. Let's talk about why this method produces such extraordinary results. Tomatoes aren't the fragile annuals we treat them as. In their native Andes mountains, they can live for years. Their stems have tiny sleeping root buds along the entire length that wake up when buried. When you plant a tomato normally, only the bottom few inches are buried. You get a shallow root system about 12 to 18 inches wide. When you plant horizontally and bury most of the stem, all those sleeping root buds activate. You create a massive root system 3 to 4 feet wide and 2 feet deep, 3 times larger.
Bigger roots mean a plant can access nutrients from a much larger soil volume, reach deeper water reserves during drought, support larger fruit loads without collapsing, and resist soil diseases by not depending on a single root zone. But here's the key. This only works if you stress the plant early. Comfortable plants become dependent. Stressed plants become resilient. The horizontal planting deliberately shocks the seedling. For the first week, the plant appears to do nothing. It's growing roots, massive networks of roots spreading through the soil. Modern gardeners panic during this phase. Soviet gardeners trusted it. Now the exact step-by-step Maslov method you can implement this season. Step 1. Seedling preparation. Start your tomato seedlings indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost. Choose tall-growing indeterminate varieties. Russian or Eastern European heirlooms work best. Siberian, black from Tula, Stupus, or any tall-growing type. Grow your seedlings until they're 10 to 12 inches tall with a pencil-thick stem. Step 2. Leaf removal. Before planting, remove all leaves from the bottom 2/3 of the stem. Leave only the top cluster of 4 to 6 leaves. This looks brutal, but those lower leaves would rot if buried. Do this immediately before planting. Don't let the stem dry out. Step 3. Trench preparation. Dig a shallow trench 4 to 6 inches deep and 12 to 18 inches long. Space your trenches 3 to 4 feet apart. The Maslov method requires fewer plants because each becomes massively productive. Step 4. Horizontal planting. Lay your prepared seedling horizontally in the trench. The roots go at one end and the stem curves gently through the trench. Only the top leafy portion sticks up above ground. Gently bend the top 4 to 6 inches of stem upward so the leaves point toward the sky. Cover the entire horizontal stem with 4 to 6 inches of soil. Ferment gently. The buried stem should be in complete contact with soil. Step 5. The dry start. This is where the method differs most from modern advice. After planting, water once to settle the soil, then stop. For the next 7 to 10 days, do not water unless the plant shows severe wilting. This forces roots to search deep for moisture. The buried stem is developing roots during this time, and constant surface moisture would prevent deep rooting. Yes, the plant will look stressed. This is intentional adaptation, not neglect. Step 6. Establishing growth. After the initial dry period, begin watering once every 5 to 7 days with deep soaking. You'll notice the plant suddenly accelerates growth as its massive root system comes online. Step 7. Minimal pruning. Don't obsessively prune. The massive root system can support heavy foliage. Remove only diseased leaves and the lowest branches that touch the ground. Step 8. Staking. Use substantial stakes or cages. Plan for 6 to 8 foot tall plants producing 30 to 50 pounds of fruit. Step 9. Harvest. Expect first fruits 7 to 10 days later than conventional planting, but total season production will be 150 to 200% higher. The extended root system supports continuous fruiting well into fall. If you're planning to try this season, hit that subscribe button now. I'll be creating follow-up videos showing real results and troubleshooting. This technique teaches us something important. Plants don't need comfort, they need challenge. When we stress seedlings early, we're activating survival mechanisms evolution built into these plants. We're teaching them to be independent instead of dependent. This is what Golden Vault Garden is about, recovering techniques that work with biology, not against it. So here's my challenge. Try the Maslov method this season. Document your results. Share your experience in the comments below. Subscribe to Golden Vault Garden for more lost techniques that actually work better than modern methods. Hit that notification bell so you never miss the next forgotten secret. The best gardens aren't built through expensive products and exhausting labor. They're built through knowledge, patience, and working with nature. I'll see you in the next video, where we're uncovering another technique the gardening industry tried to erase. This is Golden Vault Garden, where forgotten wisdom feeds the future.